Now at 6, a local family searching for answers after their loved one is found injured and left for dead.
Right now, we're going to focus on finding out what happened.
The break in the case they're now hoping for.
Plus, the search is on for a missing pilot and his plane, where investigators last traced his cell phone.
And amid a growing measles outbreak, a state lawmaker now wants to change vaccine requirements.
To be quite frank, we should get rid of all personal exemptions.
Live team coverage just ahead.
Live from the KOIN Center in downtown Portland, this is KOIN 6 News. Watching out for you.
A dangerous situation for drivers in Yamhill County as someone is throwing objects at oncoming traffic, shattering windshields. It is 6 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Gianolo.
And I'm Jennifer Hoff. Investigators say that person is targeting logging trucks, even a school bus. Oregon State Police say it's happened at least 5 times on Highway 22 west of Willamina. Our Amy Frazier has this crime alert from Yamhill County.
People who live out here along the stretch of Highway 22 say this whole situation makes them pretty nervous, knowing someone could be hurt or killed.
I drive this road, and are they parking on a side road or up above throwing stuff? That's dangerous, and that's taking people's lives into their hands.
Neighbors along Highway 22 are on edge, knowing children were on the school bus when this happened.
You know, I think we paint these buses yellow for a purpose so that they're noticeable and, you know, to make them a target of a dangerous activity is just beyond belief.
The bus driver doesn't know what was thrown at his windshield, only that it happened near milepost 16 on Highway 22 around 4 p.m. on Wednesday. The next day, it happened again to a bus. Same place, same time.
Something else was thrown. He believes a rock shattering the lens of his light.
Back in December, there was also an apple thrown at the bus. The district says it all started coming together, that these instances were likely intentional when a bus driver saw a post on social media. A woman on Facebook says her husband and child were in a logging truck on the same stretch of Highway 22 last week when someone threw a frozen mango, shattering the windshield. Shards of glass went flying everywhere. Oregon State Police are now investigating at least 5 separate incidents, most reported last week. Until the case is solved, children on this bus route are getting a police escort home. If you can help out with this case, you're asked to contact Oregon State Police. Reporting in Yamhill County, Amy Frazier, KOIN 6 News.
Also tonight, a local family is searching for answers after their loved one is found severely injured. Portland police found 25-year-old Cody Denny Friday morning near Southeast 92nd and Knapp. When officers first found him, they reached out to the community then for help to identify him. Family friend Nicole Riggs tells us that she was able to positively identify him because of our reporting. And now she's speaking on behalf of Cody's family. And they're hoping that somebody can help them figure out what exactly happened to him.
We need answers. Cody is a very kind, loving person. You could have walked up and asked him for something and he would have given it to you. We don't know why this happened, but we would like to know why and hold whoever's accountable.
Nicole tells us Cody is on life support and his family is hoping for the best. They're asking anyone with surveillance along that area, Southeast 92nd and Knapp, to share that footage with police. And they've also set up a GoFundMe to help with his medical expenses. You can find that link on KOIN.com.
An update now on a death investigation out of Skamania County. Last week, deputies found a body and a burned out car near Ape Cave. After an autopsy, they tell us they believe that man died of homicidal violence. Right now, they're not releasing the man's identity as they work to notify his family.
Deputies are identifying the driver involved in a fatal crash into a creek on Friday morning. Deputies say 78-year-old William Snyder of Boring was headed north on Southeast Orient Drive, and as he approached the intersection of Revenue Road there, deputies say his car drifted into the southbound lane. He couldn't make that turn and then went off the road. They tell us, though, they're not sure yet what caused him to veer off the road.
And in Clark County, the search is on for a missing pilot and his plane. The sheriff's office tells us they're looking for this man, 63-year-old George Regis. He was last seen leaving the Grove Field Airport in Camas in his airplane. Now, deputies say he may have been traveling to Arizona or Texas. His cell phone's last location was in the Newburgh-Dundee area, and that was on Saturday. You're asked to call 911 if you saw anything or saw him or his airplane.
Tonight, we are continuing to track a growing health alert, the measles outbreak.
Now, we've got live team coverage, and as we count some new cases tonight in Clark County and take a closer look at one confirmed case now here in Multnomah County, Trevor Alt's been following this. And Trevor, Clark County now has 35 confirmed cases?
Yeah, that's right, Jeff. Unsurprisingly, doctors tell us this is the most contagious disease on Earth. Now, there are 36 cases across the area, and as you mentioned, the vast majority here in Clark County. And the public health director for the county says overwhelmingly the people who have been affected are not vaccinated, and all but one of them are children. Now, we also know there are 11 more suspected cases, so these numbers will likely continue to climb. And measles was originally considered eradicated just a few years ago. This is the first time that they've had any confirmed cases in Clark County since 2011, but of course times have changed.
It should be eradicated from the United States. It should actually be eradicated from the world, but we have a large unvaccinated population. Measles still exists in the world, and all you have to do is introduce one case into an unvaccinated population, takes off like wildfire.
More people with confirmed cases of measles also means there's new locations where you may have been exposed to it, and they are in some heavily trafficked spots. The Trader Joe's and the Dollar Tree on Southeast Choclove Drive, if you were there last Monday afternoon, or the Walmart Supercenter here in Northeast 4th Plain, also last Monday afternoon, plus a pair of Vancouver daycares, St. Paul Christian on Franklin last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday the 16th through the 18th, or Yelena's daycare on Northeast 23rd this past Tuesday and Wednesday, the 22nd and 23rd. But maybe even the biggest exposure site is down in Portland at OMSI last Saturday between 2:30 and 7 p.m., a time when we know so many families are there, so many people could have been exposed. And guys, the thing is, the incubation period for measles can take a week, or it could take as much as 3 weeks, which means there may be people who were exposed in this past week or so that may not even begin to show symptoms until mid-February. These numbers very well could climb much higher. Reporting live in Vancouver, Trevor Alt, KOIN 6 News.
Yeah, Trevor, thank you. And we want to take a closer look now at that confirmed measles case right here in Multnomah County.
So let's switch to our Lisa Balick, who spoke with state and county health experts who are tracking this. What did they tell you, Lisa?
Well, I learned today that it was a child who was exposed from somebody in Clark County who had measles. I talked to the Portland Public School District today. They tell me it's not a child who's going to any of the PPS schools, but health experts fear this is spreading like wildfire down here as well.
It may have spread because our case just had onset on January 24th, and you don't see the rash developing until about 2 weeks following exposure. So, we're going to be following all of those exposed people for some time now.
Meaning everywhere that child has been is a possible exposure site. County health workers are tracking this and notifying possible school and family members who are not vaccinated.
So those who've been around the case who are known to be susceptible to measles, we ask them to stay home and to go on a symptom watch for 3 weeks.
In Oregon last year, there were 50 cases of measles, none in the 3 years before that. The highly contagious virus can lead to complications that end up in hospitalization or death. The virus is spreading among those who have not been vaccinated. Possible exposure sites in the Portland area so far from this one case are Legacy Go Health in Gresham, Fred Meyer in Wood Village, Gresham Troutdale Family Medical Center, and Walgreens in Wood Village between Sunday, January 20th and Wednesday, the 23rd.
Anyone born before 1957 is considered immune to measles because once you get the disease, you have lifelong immunity. And it was so common before that date that people are just assumed to have had it in childhood. Again, those born before 1957. I think anybody who's not sure or who is worried, their best bet would be to just get one measles, mumps, rubella, MMR vaccine.
Now, I also checked and followed up on something we reported last week, that there was a possible case in Marion County. State health leaders told me today that person tested negative. At least a bit of good news in all this. Live in Southeast Portland, Lisa Balick, KOIN 6 News.
Yeah, Lisa, and as we know, a 3-week incubation period for this. So these cases of this latest exposure might not show up till mid or later February. Lisa, thank you.
Thank you. And we've been saying since we first started reporting on this that this is going to get worse before it gets better. And as they work to help those infected, the doctors, of course, are encouraging everybody to get that measles vaccine. It is up to 97% effective. And if you've been vaccinated, you have this lifelong protection. You don't need it again. Now, back in 2000, measles cases dropped when this vaccine spread. But in recent years, doctors say more people are just opting out. They say if the Vancouver area met what is called the herd immunity, measles would be eradicated.
Herd protection is the threshold in the population that need to be vaccinated to interrupt transmission of the infection.
For Vancouver, 95% of the population would need to be vaccinated. But according to state records, just in December, only 78% of children between the ages of 6 and 18 were immunized in Clark County.
And today, KOIN 6 was the first to report a new bill on vaccines being pushed by a Washington state lawmaker.
We are one of only 18 states that has a personal exemption left. So the vast majority of the United States, you do not get a personal exemption.
So if this bill is passed, it would eliminate the personal exemption for the MMR vaccine in Washington. But the bill from State Representative Paul Harris would not apply to other required immunizations. We've been following the measles outbreak since it first began earlier this month. For a list of locations where you or your children may have been exposed, go to KOIN.com.
Still to come tonight, a local couple's wedding comes to an abrupt halt, and it's all caught on camera what their venue actually crashed into.
And Portland drivers are feeling the pinch, but cyclists are enjoying the space. Why Better NATO is back a whole lot earlier this year. Joseph?
Yeah, wasn't it nice to be able to see down the street today without that fog trapping the valley? Well, it really helped with our temperatures getting rid of that fog. We topped off in the lower 50s today. We have another day of that, but there's rain on the way. We'll time it out coming up.
Wintertime currents on the Willamette River caused some serious trouble for a Salem couple at the worst possible time. Raina and Romeo Cruz were in the middle of their wedding last weekend on the Willamette Queen with both their families on board. And just before Romeo slipped the ring on Raina's finger, the boat crashed into the rocks under the Union Street Railroad Bridge down there in Salem. Take a look.
With this ring, I be wet. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Wow. Just when he's putting the ring on her finger, that happens. That crash caused most of the 30-plus people on board to fall, but they swept up the glass you heard break, and that wedding went on as scheduled. The bride says if they can get through things like that together, it will only make their relationship stronger. And I just hope that honeymoon goes a whole lot smoother than what happened right there. They're always going to remember that day. Yeah.
I hope they always remember their wedding, no matter what. And looking ahead to tomorrow, the city of Portland will be officially welcoming home Colin O'Brady. You might remember him. He is the local athlete who just became the first person in history to cross Antarctica by himself without any help. It took Colin nearly 2 months to pull his 375-pound sled 930 miles. He says it was all to inspire other people to reach their potential. And tomorrow, he will be speaking with Mayor Ted Wheeler at the Oregon Historical Society. I hope we're there to cover that. The event is sold out if you are interested in going, but he is amazing if you can ever hear him speak again.
We'll be there. We'll be there. A traffic alert tonight for Portland drivers. Better NATO is back. The city-sponsored bike and pedestrian lane on Southwest NATO Parkway is now open, so that means a northbound lane of NATO is closed from the Hawthorne Bridge to the Steel Bridge.
Better NATO is a great way to encourage more people to get out on their bikes, out of their cars, improve auto traffic for the rest of the people who need to drive. It makes your commute a lot less stressful, and there's no risk of being cut off by cars.
Well, there you go. The project usually starts during the summer festival season, but it's happening early this year because the The city is closing the East Bank Esplanade for repairs later this week.
And if you have to cross the interstate bridge, heads up, you may be stopped for bridge lifts. They started this morning at 10 o'clock, and it'll be the same drill now every morning through Thursday. Crews say the lift should last about 15 minutes, too. The work conducted by Oregon's Department of Transportation comes as crews get ready for a major project next year.
PDX is getting a new nonstop flight to Canada. WestJet just announced it's adding its first nonstop flight from Portland to its home base in Calgary, Alberta. The daily flights will launch April 29th and will run through October 26th. Calgary, just one of the great cities up in Canada. And you're going to be going to Banff, I think, later. You might think about that flight.
I might think about that now. Yep. Okay, Joseph is back now. I'm from Minnesota. Joseph's from Chicago. We can't stop talking about the cold weather that has hit back home. But here, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it sure is.
Our coldest day here is like early spring to them. You know, man, it is cold.
Yeah, we're talking like 60 below wind chill.
Oh, it's just amazing things I wouldn't even think about. I mean, the coldest day that we've had in Portland so far was an overnight temperature at 29 degrees. I mean,
yeah, for them that's springtime.
That's springtime for sure. Yeah. They're going to be seeing those very, very cold temperatures there as keeping up with my family and friends, and they're still going to try to get out and go to work, and I just don't think it's going to happen. Let's talk about what we have going on here in the Pacific Northwest. I want to start off with this camera coming out of the Dalles. 39 degrees, beautiful shot as it gets a little bit darker here, but it was a very nice sunset. Wonderful way to start off the new work week, right? We kicked that fog out of here. We weren't trapped and just confined to that fog in the valley today, so it just brought in some really nice weather. We had some breezy conditions at times, especially Western Gorge and into areas close to Portland, but it should be out of here by Wednesday. We have at least one more day of that, so we'll put that in the headlines for our Tuesday. Next chance for rain is going to arrive on Thursday night and into Friday, so we have a couple days here where we should stay nice and dry. Gorge wind gusts right now about 30 to 25 miles per hour, depending on where you're at. We've seen it kick up at times here in Portland. We've also had a sustained wind speed about 15 to 20 miles per hour here in Portland for the last